Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Live from the Sword Coast podcast. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly dungeon master this evening. Tonight, we are continuing on with our ongoing campaign, playing Robert Schwab's amazing Shadow the Demon Lord horror fantasy game. This is session 23. So this is the first time you're joining us. You may want to go back and watch some of the previous episodes. Even, I guess, just as a quick primer, you may want to watch the last episode because we left it on a cliffhanger. The nutshell version of what happened last session, I won't do a full campaign overview, but last session, our heroes were, or not confronted, but I suppose they met one of the power players in our setting, the Goblin King, Jareth. And I was calling him Jared the last couple of weeks, and then I realized I saw someone's Halloween costume this past week, and they were referring to as Jareth. So I went back and checked, and it's Jareth, not Jared. So I've been getting that wrong for the last little while. Yeah. But anyway, so where we left our heroes was with one of them. So they met with Jareth. He gave them sort of the lay of the land of what's been going on behind the scenes in the campaign for the last, I guess, about year we've been playing. And then we ended the session with one of our heroes who has been tainted by the Diabolus to act as a conduit for his power in order to infect this clockwork kind of fey heart, which seems to be trying to spread the fairy queen's power into the dreams of mortals. So we'll find out what the response is, but first we need to meet our cast. So guys, why don't we go in order of when you logged on? Tell us who you are and who you're playing. So first up is Jeffrey.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeff, and I am playing Matt, who is a sort of time and space mage, a little bit Doctor Who-y, kind of an inquisitive dude, and sort of his companion, who is a goblin shape-shifting raven martial art fighter.
Yes. He's basically like all badass things put in a word blender and then poured out.
Yeah.
And of course, with us is Steve-O.
Yo, and I'm playing the usual characters. I'm playing my swashbuckling iron construct. I'm playing Milar, the changeling dwarf teenager, and Hobie, the undead revenant beer swilling priest.
Yes. So before we launch into the game, there were two things I wanted to chit chat because Steve and I, Jeff, as I was mentioning before we went live, we were talking about this. We went for breakfast on Saturday and had a chance to talk about the campaign quite a bit, and talk about like plans we had for the next thing. So one of the things I was thinking about is if we want to take assuming we're not just going to. What I was assuming is that we weren't going to carry on playing these characters once sort of that arc got, the 10 levels were reached. Yeah. So I was talking about doing, it would be neat to wrap up our Iron Kingdoms campaign, not wrap up the campaign, but to see the end game for that game too, and revisit with Gorgosh and Brother Declan. Because to be honest, I had so many plot threads in that campaign that I didn't, I've got the main plot can still be left to discover at a later or to explore at a later date, but I've got more than enough plot threads to sort of fill up the levels up to the point where you guys would be at endgame. You'd finish out the epic tier. So that might be an interesting, next thing to do. That the difficulty there is that I could write it, but I don't have a set endpoint for that game. And then between when Steve and I talked about that, and I guess the other thing we could do is as well, one of the things that was recently kickstarted for Shadow the Demon Lord was this. It was the Freeport Companion. Freeport is a city or a setting that is actually from the first third-party adventure that was published for 3rd edition D&D back in like 2000. 99? No, it was 2000 or 2001. The setting in Freeport was, you know, I think it's 15 years old now. So maybe it was 2002-ish is when it came out. But in any event, it's this like pirate kind of haven, you know, thing. And it has many of the same tropes that D&D has, but it also has some fairly unique things to the setting. And it's set up so that this city itself can kind of be plunked into whatever setting you really want to have it in. The Freeport itself is really heavily described, but the surrounding nations and whatnot are really sort of vaguely covered so that you can replace those names with whatever you actually need. The reason I bring it up is because they, in addition to kickstarting the companion, they also published conversions of the first 3 adventures. So there was 3 adventures that came out under the open game license when 3rd edition D&D first came out. I think it was Death in Freeport, Terror in Freeport, and then Madness in Freeport. And they've converted those over to Shadow of the Demon Lord. And they're relatively short adventures, and they take you from novice to like 0 up until 10 in a relatively short period of time. So another option is for us to, you know, roll up new characters and then just play through a much more streamlined sort of, you know, arc with that series of adventures. So those were some of the things we were talking about at breakfast and afterwards. And then it dawned on me, so on Sunday night, they actually released another new supplement, something called At World's End, I believe it's called. And it's basically a supplement that sort of, it flushes in some of the setting that is outside of what we see in the core rulebook. They say, or Rob Schwab says at the outset that, you know, the Shadow of the Demon Lord is really intended to be played the way we play it, which is like we take the very bare bones of sort of the setting and fill in all the shit that we want. It's never intended to be sort of like a comprehensive, you know, you can find a description of the tavern that's located at the corner of this street and that street in one of the source books. It's designed to be filled in by whatever you need with it. But this gives some broad strokes as to what's around there. And there's one picture in it that actually got me thinking about another thing, that another sort of option. And it's one of those things where, you know, once you've thought of it, you're like, fuck, why didn't I think of this before? And I've come up with a pretty cool sort of next major arc for these characters once this first arc is over. So another option that we've got is to continue on with these characters, because the system in Forbidden Rules, they provide the rules for playing characters beyond level 10. And this system really, we've talked about this before, but the system really sees characters expand out more than up. So there's not going to be a point where, you know, the system itself will break down. So depending on you know, how we all feel, that's another completely viable option as we launch into another big kind of arc to continue on with these characters.
Right.
Yeah. They are cool characters.
They're very cool characters, and to be honest, I absolutely love this game. Like it hits so many of the sort of marks that I really want to see in a role playing game. It's really easy to run. It's really easy to prep for. There's shit tons of cool options for players. There's tons of cool things to think about between the game or between sessions as well too, in terms of like deciding what you're going to build for your character or whatever. And it's also, I love the narrative structure that they have in it, where you run through a good arc, both in terms of the story of sort of the emergence of the Shadow of the Demon Lord, the response by the players, and then hopefully saving the world. And also the fact that, you know, they've divided it down up into the different paths too. So your novice, your expert, and your master sort of periods are you know, provide a very distinctive kind of feel to them. So yeah, so it's a role playing game that I would absolutely love to keep running. But once we complete this thing, I'm in no rush to finish this arc right now. But it's just something to be rattling around in the back of your heads. Right. So yeah. Okay. So with that out of mind, anyone else got any other interesting stuff to talk about before we launch into the game?
No specific game talk that I think of.
Nothing interesting.
All right, then we return. Let me switch my. Actually, I got to turn my camera off and then reload my whatchamacallit, Roll20. So let me just do that. Camera off, sharing screens activated. I've been watching a lot of Star Trek Deep Space Nine lately. So I've been finding that, well, at least when I'm on my own, I'm talking to my computer quite a bit. Here we go. Present to everyone. Beauty. Awesome. Okay. So let me just reload this sucker.
You can talk to your computer these days.
I can, yeah. I don't have any voice command stuff, and I have Dragon Dictation at work, and I find it really irritating. It's like it's sort of like working with a slightly faulty keyboard, where like it'll work perfectly like 95% of the time, but the small times it doesn't work, you're just like fuck, and it takes you out of whatever you're working on. So okay, so where we left our heroes was in this small room with the arcane markings on the floor and that giant sort of half wooden or half living wood, half clockworks, steam engines pumping out, and Milar's dark master, Diabolus, had whispered in her ear, trying to tempt her into opening herself to being a vessel for him. Let me show a quick picture as a reminder to the folks at home as to what Diabolus looks like. So there he is, the Lord of the Seven Flames and Supreme Ruler of Hell.
Played by Tim Curry.
Yeah, really. I haven't seen Legends since I was a kid.
It's man. I was listening to the soundtrack today because it was done by Jerry Goldberg. Is that his name? Who's done like so many soundtracks to movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry Goldberg. I don't know who that is.
I think that's his name.
It could very well be like there's
Jerry Gold something.
One of the for fuck's sake.
Who did the soundtrack to Aliens, Total Recall, or Alien rather?
Oh wow.
All the Rambos. I mean, he did everything. This guy.
Yeah. Why is this not working? There we go. Sorry, for some reason in this one, oh for fuck's sake.
Score on me.
There we go. Had Hobie taken damage last round? I think he did, didn't he?
I
had it listed as 9. I think it's I'm gonna.
Good memory.
What did you guys fight last? Yes, because you guys. You fought. Yeah, that's right. You fought those. Right, and then Junis took 10 because it was those undead things, right? The zombies and that overly large. Yeah.
It says 10, but it's just not showing up on the bar there.
Yeah. So let me. I'm just fixing it here.
41. Nice.
Well, 41 I think is his health. Yeah. So hold up here. And damage. Where are we here? I'm just there's a little trick I can do here to set that. All right. So there we go. That should be. Everyone's bars are now working again for the time being. We'll see if it fucks up again. Okay, so our camera, I guess, in the sort of the movie version of this, the camera opens on Milar. The sort of tense music has swelled up. Her face looks twisted as if, wrestling with an excruciating decision. Milar looks up, and what does she do?
Milar looks up. She's sort of. I don't know if the rest of the team is sort of looking at her or senses anything, but she has a distant sort of look in her eye, and she's suddenly becomes just. I mean, she's crying, and she becomes quite weary, and she sort of crumples to the ground, and slowly her dwarven form kind of dissipates, and she sort of sits there in a lump of sticks with a couple of green glowing eyes. and she sort of stares at the floor, and she starts sort of mumbling and whispering to herself. And she does that for a little while. And
Yeah.
now, how does the rest of the team respond?
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. So
first I need to know how do the rest of the team see her or not.
yeah, I think the rest of the team can see her at this point.
Well, did she draw any attention to herself? Like, she's weeping and crying.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's do this. Let's have everyone make a perception challenge. No Banes on this, and then we can judge from there whether anyone, whether it attracted anyone's attention. And remember, just with a challenge, it's a 10 that you need to succeed. So sweet.
Hey, what's going on here?
Oh, that's awesome! Look, it's a new way of displaying.
Oh yeah, look at that, Hobie. Oh, it actually works all by itself now.
Yeah.
Okay,
That is fucking awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Did they change the character sheets too, guys? You must be looking at your character sheets now. Do they look any different?
They're behaving slightly differently. Let's see if they do it without.
Yeah.
All by themselves. Nice.
You can actually read everything on here. That's why the fucking tokens were screwing up. Look at that. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wonder if, hey guys, someone click on one of your spells. Let's see if that actually works now.
Spells.
Just click on the dice and let's see what happens. Love that interface too. Really nice looking.
Yeah.
So whoever, I guess, so at the time of the recording, this is a brand new interface for us. This is the third version we've seen.
It just gives you a description.
Oh, but that one's not an attack. Let's see here. So
right.
Your attack would be, let's see here.
Yeah,
Binding Strike is an attack.
It's working. Attack. Oh no.
Fuck, yes.
No, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It did.
Attack intellect.
Mm.
It's not doing a roll though.
No, it's just giving you the data.
Well, yeah, disguise isn't an attack though. Well, you'll have to here. I'm gonna click on binding strike.
But I rolled fuse and it didn't do anything.
Oh, there you go. 17. Yep, it does give you the number.
Fuse maybe because I didn't because then they weren't working. I didn't. Fuse was one of the last spells he got, and at the time it wasn't working. That's fucking great. So the spell thing works now too. That's fucking awesome.
Well, so slow is a rolled attack.
For whoever, if the person who worked on these sheets, it does happen to see this podcast, thank you so much for putting the effort into making these work, because this is fucking great. These look terrific now. Wow. Yeah, love it. Okay, great. Now let's see here.
I think everybody noticed.
Okay, great. So yeah, I kind of distracted by something shiny here.
Yeah, if it was +10, both of my characters noticed.
Sure. Okay, cool. So then your characters notice. Sorry, I think Fuse. You said. I'm just going to quickly check in here. So Fuse, attack, rank 3, intellect 1, casting. Or okay. Let's see here. How does that work? Did not work. Let me see. Oh, you know why? Is because I didn't have the attack filled in. Attack against will. Check it out. Let's see. No Banes, no boons. Boom.
Nice.
Nice. Fuck, that's great.
Okay, so I just have to fill in what
cool.
the attack is against if there is a target.
Yeah, and it looks like you can fill in the damage for damaging spells too now. So that is fucking cool. Oh, I'm thrilled about that. Awesome. Okay. And you can actually read the like the other numbers on the character sheet too. So that is just terrific. Anyway, okay, so getting off of my brief obsession with this new character sheet, it looks like everyone would have noticed this. So how does everyone respond? I mean, I don't think that anybody actually knew that Milar was a changeling. Everyone thought she was. I mean, Matt had his suspicions, but everyone else thought that she was a dwarf.
Well, Trader saw something last session.
He
Right.
did, yes, a very brief moment where
Trader
she
saw her
flashed.
face for a second.
Yep.
So
yeah,
Matt is
that's
in
right.
absolute shock. Matt is just like, doesn't even understand what's happening.
Yeah.
In fact, his reaction might be thinking that this room or this heart might be doing something to Milar.
Oh, interesting. Does he want to?
He thinks so. Matt says to Trader, he says, "It's the heart. It must be doing something to her. Quick, we must smash it." And so he's ordered Trader or he's told the Trader he should smash it.
Okay. So Trader is he going to jump in? He's still maintaining his spell from before because he did cast the whatever it was, like natural bestial claws or whatever the spell's called.
Yeah. So I don't know if Hobie or Junis have a reaction, but that's what Matt and Trader are doing.
They notice they're both quite startled. Junis and Hobie. They fully sort of accepted Milar as a little dwarven girl that they were looking after, and they're taken aback for a moment. They don't quite know what to think at all. In fact, Hobie kind of suspects that there's been a switch taking place. This is a changeling. Maybe they lost some Milar somewhere along the way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But then again, this all looks kind of weird and familiar. The reaction seems to be Milar. They're familiar with this, and so they're just sort of stunned and confused for the moment. And then meanwhile, Milar, sort of muttering, takes out her sort of snow globe with Freeport in it, and just sort of
crossings.
Crossing, sorry, and sort of stares at and stares at it momentarily while thinking about what to say. And she says, just sort of out loud to anybody, she says, I never expected this. I don't know what to do. And she says,
so Milar hears in her voice a much more forceful and angry voice. Again, one she recognizes. Do what you must, Milar. And you can feel the heat of Diabolus's breath on your face too. You think that it's so hot it may even be singeing some of the ends of your hair.
Right.
Well, when she says she doesn't know what to do, then Trader says, "I do," and he jumps to smash the heart.
Awesome. What do Hobie and Junis do?
Let's see here. I think they need to roll an intellect check.
Okay.
To think of something here. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, hold on here. As soon as I get back. Come on. All right. Okay, so Hobie. So now I don't have to pick the names anymore, which is nice. And I don't think there's, and that is a, what did you get there? Ooh, a 1. Hobie is just stunned. He just like,
Hobie has woefully misunderstood whatever he was trying to do.
He just doesn't have, but yeah, I guess he thinks that this must not be Milar.
Oh shit!
Junis.
If he thinks it's not Milar, and he's been dealing with these trickster fae for the last, day or so, what does he do?
Oh man, and boy, these guys are dumb today. Okay, and Junis is just completely and utterly stunned as well. He just doesn't even know what to do. Probably thinking something very similar. What would they do then if they roll so badly? I mean, Hobie was like, "Wait a second, we should figure this out." To everybody, and Junis just stands there with a dumb look on his face, staring at Milar. And Milar, meanwhile, sort of raises her hand above the snow globe as if to start to cast a spell, but she's sort of hesitating. She's not sure what to do.
Okay, so Junis and Hobie lie stunned. What is Matt doing right now?
Well, he gave that sort of direction to Trader, and he's looking at Trader. I can't move Trader. I would have long moved him, but he's not moving.
Oh, let me see here. Maybe you're...
I can move Matt. That's why Matt took a step there.
Determined by character settings? Yeah, let me try changing the settings. It says that you should be able to control it. Let me just change here. And I'll change it back. Boom. There you go. I should try moving her now.
Move, traitor.
I can move him. Boom. He's moved.
What?
Oh, you know what? Sorry, he was hung up on an invisible wall. Try moving him now.
Oh, he was like stuck on the. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's which is
Hobie probably is the same thing. His character's a little bit across that wall.
yes, that's right. Yeah. So we're all learning today. That's awesome. Okay. All right. So Trader, what's sort of your strategy here? There's a bunch of like moving gears in there. There are a bunch of pieces of seem to be like of living wood that are sort of the superstructure of this thing. And then there seems to be, you know, big places that are filled with brass sort of canisters that are filled with pressurized water that sort of drive this thing. There are also arcane marks around on the floor and carved into the wood. What's sort of his approach here? Does he want to try and like rip apart the superstructure? Does he want to try and just gum up the gears? Does he want to try and deface the arcane markings?
I think he's going to begin by trying to just smash the structure of it.
Okay, so just give me a damage roll then. I think he'll be able to. I mean, he's not going to miss it, I don't think.
Right. Okay. So, like, just roll damage.
Yeah, just roll damage for his thing, and remember he's got a boost because of his spell as well.
So it would do 3d6. Let's roll 3d6. So that's what it is. 3d6. Roll.
Nice.
Oh wow, that's a crazy result from 3d6.
Whoa. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's you leap up. Your the claws on the tips of your wings now look effectively like, you know, size like a farmer would use to thresh or to cut wheat. And you leap up and begin tearing into these things. The strength of your wings enhanced by your innate magic as well, and you smash out this big chunk of superstructure that then sort of, and it doesn't fall out itself, but you've knocked it loose so that it sort of falls down into some of the gears, which begin sort of turning in on themselves and gumming up, which then screws up some of the other moving parts further within. So you can hear this whining, and now there's some oil that's begins spewing out of the side of one. And there's also this sort of like pungent sort of mustard colored dust that, you know, explodes out. Trader, why don't you give me a agility challenge, please?
Agility. Do this actually, because it does here. Agility. Roll.
Ooh.
Whoa! Oh yeah, easy. So you sort of in one's fluid motion as that thing falls in, and that yellow cloud kind of gouts out from the screeching gears. You flap your wings and spin over in sort of a pinwheel and land yourself far enough away from this thing to avoid the expanding cloud. There's a really raucous cacophony of clattering metal on metal sounds that sort of fills this small room. Milar, why don't you make a give me a will check or a will challenge, please?
Sure thing. Also, I think if I may request Matt to do an intellect check as well.
Sure.
Because there's something I want to see if they figure out.
Oh, sure.
Oh. Incidentally, I'm throwing. Remember, we're using the optional rules for fortune points from what do you call it? Forbidden Rules, where you start with 1d3 3 plus. I can't remember how many it is. Blah, blah, blah. One sec here.
My rolls are so up and down. Just never middle of the road. Just
Right.
You
wow,
apparently
are we
embrace.
all idiots? Like, look at how many stupid rolls. A 1, a 3, and a 5 on a character who has +4. Were our intellect
Right.
rolls to see what's going on with Milar.
I got
Yeah, that's not good for you.
good to get those out of the way now, though, right? So.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Unreal. That's
So Milar rolled a. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry. The fortune points is 1d3 plus 3. Is how many you would have started with in this. So why doesn't someone give me a d3 roll? Actually, I'm gonna grab my dice. Just give me one sec here, guys.
That's a 1.
All right, sorry. Actually, my dice are right in arm's reach here. 1. Okay, so that means you've got 4 fortune points to start with. Right now, guys, and then Steve, because that was a fucking terrific bit of role playing with Milar. I'm going to give you another one too. So you guys have 5 fortune points right now. Remember, they can be used to just same way they can in the default game, which is to turn a failure into a success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting feedback from somebody. Does someone have their headphones off? Let's see here.
Nope.
It's weird. Who am I getting the feed? Let me see. Echo, echo, echo. Marco, Marco. Nope, it seems to be gone. Maybe it was me. Okay, hold on here. So you can turn a failure into a success with a fortune point. You can, if you spend it for someone else, you can give them 2 boons on a roll they make. Or when you rolled a d6, you can spend a fortune point to gain make it a 6. You can also use it to take another turn during the round. You can use it to heal damage equal to twice your healing rate, so effectively half your healing or half your health. You can turn a failure into a success or a success into a failure. And you guys share them, so you share the pool. So if you like, Matt, you could spend one of those 5 fortune points to turn that failure into success if you like.
yeah. Let's do that. This seems like
Okay.
an important story moment. So
All right.
So, Steve, what does Matt notice then?
Matt does realize that Milar has the power with that little globe of hers to transport all of them instantaneously out of there, either with or without their consent.
Hmm.
oh, that she could take us out of. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think Matt has seen her use that before, because that's how you guys got out of the. Remember the ivory tower that you guys went into? That one that only appears during a full moon.
Right.
That's how you escaped with that mad prisoner. Was by
Precisely.
using the snow globe.
Exactly.
So we need to be sure this thing is destroyed.
Okay. So the trader's gone. Matt sort of is hanging back and watching this happen. Hobie and Junis, will say that you sort of recovered from your stun right now. You still you have noticed that Milar has apparently transformed herself. Hobie's decided that something needs to be done here. What does he want to do?
Hobie, of course, is he feels sort of protective over Milar, but not that he's sure who she is. He says, "Milar, is that you?"
Okay. What does Milar say?
Milar sort of looks up at him, and she's sort of and there's sort of green tears going down the side of her face, and she's sitting there sort of staring at her globe, but she looks at him and she sort of looks wistfully at him, and there just seems to be some glint in her eye, that in the eye of this changeling knows Hobie and has some connection to him. So Hobie is sort of gathering that it must be Milar, although there's obviously something going on that he doesn't understand.
Okay. What is your will?
Hobie's will?
No, Milar's will.
Milar's will is hey, what's going on here?
Steve did make a roll earlier.
Yeah,
she made a will challenge. Yeah, to sort of that
12.
was to recover 12. Okay, so all right. So then, Milar, you suddenly feel as if your entire body is infused with molten metal, and you take 10 points of damage.
Ooh.
And you hear again the fierce cry of your Dark Master. Open yourself, Milar! No!
So Milar screams out and kind of falls to the ground, and she says, "Help me!" And then she grabs the globe again and starts to raise her hand over it again.
Okay.
He's killing me, she says.
Awesome.
Oh man.
Remember, Matt, you do.
Matt looks at that. What's that?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Matt looks at the heart again, and he says to Trader, he says, "Destroy that thing!" And then he rushes to Milar's side, and
Okay.
he says, "Who's killing you?"
What is Junis doing during this?
Junis is looking back and forth, trying to decide whether to destroy the machine, help Milar, destroy the heart, and is kind of at a bit of a loss still as to what to do. Yeah.
So he sees Matt run over to try and help Milar, and he hears Matt call out to destroy the heart. With the amount of sort of smoke filling the room, I'm not sure that anyone is necessarily. It's not clear that he's directing that at Trader. He may just be calling out at everybody.
Sure.
Does that spur Junis into action, or is he still stunned?
Seeing as how everybody else has got something to do, he's like, okay, well, that's the one thing that's not being done. Okay, I'll do that. And he sort of runs towards the heart to try and smash it.
Awesome. Give me a damage check for me, please. Oh, sorry. I guess, again, is he attacking sort of the wooden superstructure, the moving gears in it, or the trying to deface the arcane marks that are across it?
Oh, there isn't just an actual heart to attack.
No, it's a big, like, you know, it would be the size of like maybe like two like old school furnaces or like water heaters sort of strapped together. So It's about 6.5 feet tall, and it's probably about 5 feet wide.
Okay. Well, he doesn't really know much about it. He just starts swinging wildly around himself and just sort of trying to hit anything he can hit.
Okay, so why don't you just give me an attack roll for me, please? Go ahead and attack with your Jotun Saber. Let's see what happens.
Jotun Saber. He gets a boon for that, doesn't he?
He does, because he is a warrior. Yeah.
23, 13.
That was awesome.
D6?
Yeah, great. So it's 13 points of damage.
15.
I think where's the extra dice coming from?
Because he got over 20 attack.
You got over 20. Yes, that's right. Yep, absolutely. Great. So 15 damage. So yeah, you smash this thing, and the combination of Trader, who again leaps in. Why don't you give me a damage roll for Trader one more time, Jeff?
Yeah. Okay.
I think the two of you guys are going to be able to bring this thing down. But let's make sure.
Reroll. Oh wait, let me change this.
Hey, does Junis get an extra attack?
Junis rolled over 20, so I think that triggers, doesn't it?
Does it? How it
Is
works?
that? Let's see here.
That's under abilities, talents.
Yeah, it's a warrior ability. If you, when you use an action to attack with a weapon, you can either deal 1d6 extra damage with that attack, or make another attack against a different target at any point between the end of your round. So basically, you could do 1d6 extra damage. It's the rogue who gets the extra action.
Okay, let's go for another d6 then.
Nice.
Boom, 2 again.
2 again. Nice. So 17 plus Trader does another 11. All right. So this thing is between the two of you guys. You're knocking enough important bits loose that this thing is collapsing in itself, and you can hear the gears are seizing up, and this thing begins sort of throwing itself apart as it's still trying to function. When you step back from it, you can see that there still is that mustard colored cloud that seems to be billowing out from it, but this thing is, in the span of about 30 seconds, finally falls silent. The last sort of like knocking of the internal mechanisms then sort of serves as a death rattle for this clockwork heart. Now, while Matt jumps into Milar, he sees her like twig-filled face twisted with pain and confusion. What does Matt do?
Well, he was gonna do something, but if they hadn't destroyed it. But if they've destroyed it, then I don't think he's gonna try that.
Okay.
Doesn't really have any healing magic or any.
I think that all of you guys then hear this voice cry out, "No!" Make one more attack here. Okay. Milar, as that cries out, you take another 4 points of damage. As again, that fiery ichor sort of runs through your body. Milar begins twisting and spasming in your hand again, or in your hands again, Matt. And then Milar, the pain as it spikes, suddenly dissipates. And she lies still lingering pain from that last attack. You can see there are bits of singed and broken wood and vegetation within her changeling body, Matt. But the look on her face seems not there still is a look of pain. There still is those green tears, running down from her eyes, but she seems less anguished, at least physically. So,
and she collapses.
Okay, yeah. So you're now effectively holding her, Matt. And at that, as you guys sort of slowly circle around Milar, you hear this. And you look over and you see Jareth standing there again. And he says, "Well done." Now, we are clear on your tasks ahead.
Matt looks at him, holding Milar. He says, "Is there anything you can do for our friend?"
No. The path she walks is one that she chose. Pity that it is lined with hot coals. He reaches into sort of this, into the folds of his cloak, and he pulls out this weird, like, iron sort of contraption that seems to be made of a bunch of different rings that are all sort of connected at different points, so as if they're smaller rings. Like if you guys know what an orrery is, that's what it sort of looks like a model of the solar system, sort of. And he begins sort of moving this around in his hand, and then it begins to spin in different, and they're all sort of moving at different angles within. So it's really confusing at first, but as it speeds up, it gets a little more. It seems a little more hypnotic. Matt, would you make a perception check for me, please? And I'm going to give you a boon on it, and I'm not going to tell you why.
Okay.
At least not right now.
Perception 1.
You recognize that thing in his hand. The last time that you and Trader met with Jareth, that's what he used to cast you out of the hidden kingdoms. So this thing is now spinning around, and it's pulsing with arcane energy. And he looks at you. He says, "Very well. I'll send you home. You best not dawdle with your work. The Queen, the Diabolus, so the Queen, the Lord of Seven Flames, and the Demon Lord will not." And then there's sort of a flash from that that thing, and you guys find yourself, boom, back in the hunting lodge. You're all in your own rooms. You are all as injured or not injured as you were in the Garden of Graves. But you find that you, I think you're maybe all in the library. So you're not in your rooms, you're in the library, and you can see that Milar is still in her changeling form. So with that, that's where that last adventure, where the Garden of Graves ends. And this is where you guys hit level 7.
Ding.
So you guys all ding, and what that means is you're going to have to select a master path for each character. What I'd like to do for the remainder of the session, subject to your approval, of course, is that we will we'll level up your characters. We'll do some downtime stuff, and we will talk about what sort of, what strategies you want to employ to try and thwart the Demon Lord. So first things first, let's think about your the immediate consequence of Milar. We'll deal with the leveling up in a moment, but what do you think is the sort of the immediate fallout from the revelation of what Milar actually is?
That's a good question. I think Hobie is sort of deeply concerned and quite sort of stunned. He's not necessarily judgmental, but he's a little, I mean, he's slightly put off because she's Fae, and they thought they were fighting Fae the whole time. So he's not quite sure if she's a double agent or what. Junus is just still sitting there in stunned silence for the most part. He's just going to let sort of time figure out what to think about that.
Yeah,
I actually think that Matt would have put her in her bed in her room or something, and then like called a meeting, and they're all meeting like on the opposite side of the house discussing things.
Love it. So let's pick up that scene. So Milar is in bed, trying to recover, sort of weeping in maybe for the first time in her natural form in I don't know how long, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, being able to sort of relax. She was just overcome by like all the pressures, and I mean, she just couldn't maintain her form anymore. She was just gave up.
I love that too, Steve. Like that was a fucking terrific resolution for that.
Thank you.
So okay, so now let's no, and I guess for the listeners at home too, while Steve and I discussed the campaign at breakfast over the weekend, we did not talk about what Milar was going to do. So that was as much of a surprise for me as it was for Jeff and for the viewers. So, so we now pick up in the lounge. Matt maybe has a drink. Hobie, of course, has a drink. Does Trader? I don't think he does. Does Trader sort of stay in his Raven form most of the time now?
I think that this is such a serious conversation that, as very seldom is seen, he turns to his goblin form.
Okay, cool. So he's in his goblin form. He maybe has a drink as well. So what do you... Matt's the one who called the meeting, so why don't we start with him?
So Matt first looks at everyone and he says, "Do any of you know of Milar's true form?"
They all shake their heads.
Trader shakes his head, but he says, I did see a glimpse of it just before arriving at the heart. And then Matt says, do you think that Milar is here spying on us from the Fae Queen?
Hobie chimes in. He says, I never expected this, but something in me tells me I just don't believe it. In spite of the fact that she's Fae, I mean, she was always on our side. She seemed to care about us. I don't understand it.
Has she made any strange indications? Because back there, she said someone was killing her. And also, Jareth said that she walked a dark path. These are very concerning.
Anyone who
she
wants
was always strange.
Anyone who wants to try and recall something other than Milar can make a perception challenge.
Okay.
Sure.
Where's my... Hobie is going to perception.
Okay. So Matt and Hobie and Trader. Let's see what Junus does.
Hobie actually got a challenge. All right.
So you guys all recall that she said he is killing me.
Oh, right, correct. Sorry, he is killing me. I think that Matt heard the voice, right?
You guys all heard the voice, yeah.
Matt
and it was
would
definitely
know
it was
Diabolus' voice.
Yes, I think there's no need for a challenge for that. So yeah, that's right.
So Matt would speak up and he would say, here's what I think. I think that the Dark Lord Diabolus had taken control of some part of Milar and was attempting to use her for his machinations in this whole plan. And that at the end, she resisted him and he tried to kill her.
Or she resisted him for long enough.
Right.
Well, it looks like we do have some issues at any rate. Diabolus is watching us.
Absolutely. I think we should let Milar rest and then see if she will come forward to us with her story.
Okay. What does the rest of the group think of that?
Well, we can't really make many decisions without knowing a bit more about what's going on, so that seems reasonable.
Okay. So fast forwarding over the next couple of days, let's say, what do we think happens? What is the response of what does Milar say when she finally, gets out of bed? How does the rest of the group respond to that?
Well, she's very sheepish, and she's not quite sure what to say. She sort of goes back to actually acting her age a little bit, although with the changeling, of course, they mature a little faster.
Yeah.
So it's a while before she really sort of wants to talk about it. But she slowly starts to explain her origins, where she comes from, and that she was a Fey changeling that was just sort of, came from the caverns and was being used to construct.
There's a town. There's a town called Foundry. That's located in sort of north east of Crossings. Actually, you know what? Let me swap. I've got a map of the Northern Reaches in here. So here we go. Boom. Let's do this. So here's the Northern Reaches, guys. This is sort of the environs in which you find yourself. Crossings is right in the middle there, and you'll see in the top right to the north northeast is Foundry. Thorpe, incidentally, is the place that you guys went, where that tower was, that Moonlight Tower or whatever it was called. I'll zoom in a bit here. There we go. So yeah, Foundry is where you replaced a dwarven child and were raised as a dwarf in Foundry. That's where there's these massive mines and smelting operations, and engineering operations as well too, and that's where you were sort of supplanted to help corrupt those titanic clockworks. Excuse me, guys. The titanic clockworks that were built at the request of the emperor. We were talking about those last time. That these titanic clockworks were being built. These like 30-foot tall, eventually like steampunk robots. So I got to tickle my throat. This will not go away. And what happened is, rather than agree to the requests of Diabolus, Milar fled the foundry. Well, actually, she was there to sort of make those modifications for the Fairy Queen, and then Diabolus tried to corrupt those preparations. Remember, Jareth told you about that last time. That the Fairy Queen hoped to use those things in conjunction with the White Towers in Crossings to sort of bridge the realms. 1 second. My God, I don't know what the hell. I got my throat there. All right, sorry about that. My apologies to Jeff and Steve and the listeners at home. But what happened is, rather than continue working for the Fairy Queen, rather than continuing to, rather than submitting to the will of Diabolus, she fled Foundry and became a fisherwoman in Crossings until she sort of fell in with everyone else. So you actually, I don't think that at this point, because it probably isn't something that's been pressing on Milar's mind, but she doesn't really know what happened with that project with the giant clockworks. Jareth seemed to suggest that those things were completed, and that whatever Diabolus was planning was going forward. But yeah.
Yeah, that's where she left off. So she managed to escape just because she was paying. She's a creature. Frankly, she feels like she's a creature of the forest, but she's just been forced into this sort of twisted role. Yeah, and she just wants to be free, but she can't find a way to be that.
Does she acknowledge that she was approached by Diabolus again, and that's how she was corrupted?
She probably just can't hide it, really. I mean, she's reluctant to talk about it, but I think the rest of the gang figures out that obviously that the Diabolus has still got a link to her. So she kind of spilled the beans when she was talking about working for him the first time.
Okay. So yeah. So what do you guys? You sort of know all of Milar's backstory now. What does she? Does she still continue to remain in her fairy form, or does she revert back to her dwarven form?
At this point, it's actually easier to stay in her changeling form. And now that these, I mean, she would if she was back in public, but now her friends, and she still thinks of them as her friends, know who she is. She just stays in her changeling form around them. Yeah.
So it's almost like I imagine for her, it's almost like imagine like keeping a fist, tight for an entire day, and then finally releasing it. Right, the feeling of relief of finally being back in her normal form.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you probably pick up that as much as she's upset about this, there is a bit more serenity, the sort of a serenity vibe or serene vibe that sort of surrounds her at this point.
There's a weight lifted from her shoulders for sure.
Yeah. So how do Matt, Trader, Junis, and Hobie react to this? I guess one insight that Trader would have is Trader, I think, had enough insight into what the Fairy Queen was planning, at least in the sense that sending changelings out to replace mortal children, both serving two purposes: to sort of pay the tithe that is required to Diabolus, and also to infiltrate potential agents. One thing I will say that Trader knows, I think, is that changelings are not like mindless automatons. They're not like they're not familiars to the fairy queen. They have free will in the same way that other immortal and mortal creatures do.
Right.
Right. Well, Hobie is just sort of naturally very, you know, he's got a soft spot for old Milar, and hearing the story, I mean, he accepts, you know, what happened. It takes him, he's going to take a little time to get used to the idea, but he decides that he believes her. Okay. And I think Junus also believes her, but he's a little shy around her.
Okay. So what about Matt and Trader?
I think that Matt would kind of be accepting of her story. He'd be quite sympathetic to being tricked by Diabolus and sort of brought under his plans.
Ooh, do you think that one of Matt's allies from his previous life, do you think one of them may have been similarly duped or blackmailed by Diabolus?
Well, I think they all were.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so as he's sort of absorbing this, and, you know, like his hatred of Diabolus is just plays back when he hears what, you know, horrible things have been done to this, you know, poor Milar.
Yeah.
But Trader, I think there would be sort of a scene at one of these times when Milar's telling her story, when Trader would have kind of not necessarily blown up and got angry, but gotten right in her face and been very intimidating about the whole thing and questioned her a little bit. And at one point, his line of questioning would have just ended with, "And who are you aligned with now?" Right in her face. And I'm assuming that she would say with us. I don't know, Steve can chime in if there's anything else.
She would say that, you know, I was always aligned with with you guys, my friends. But I mean, you can tell that she's, you know, sort of, she's just worried about her own well-being, and she's always just been. I think it's clear to you that she's just in survival mode for the most part.
Right. And sort of after this confrontation, and when he confronts her and says, "And who are you aligned with now?" and she's, you know, "With you, my friends." And then Trader would look at everyone in the room and he would say, "That's good enough for me," and he'd sort of drop the subject.
Okay. Nice. All right. So you guys do have bigger fish to fry. So maybe let's deal with the mechanical bits now, and then we can whatever time that we've got left, we can flesh out more of. We'll do some downtime stuff, and then talk about what your plans are for. I think we'll do it in reverse order. We'll do the mechanical stuff right now. We'll do the plans for how you want to approach. You know, the issues, because I made a list of things earlier today. So there's the location of the ending stone. There is the giant clockworks. There is the something you guys mentioned, but I'm not sure if you necessarily want to pursue it. Is the location of Oberon, of the mad king of the fairy, who was imprisoned in that iron cube located underneath crossings.
Right. That that members of the party found, and that it was empty, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was empty. It was empty apart from a hideous creature that was like ritually, surgically dissecting people, kidnapping them, and then subjecting them to horrific torture, dismemberment torture that was with surgical precision. It in fact broke this priest of the new god, who the Steve's three characters knew.
Right.
So not sure whether I'm not sure what you make of that, but that thing seemed to be at home in that cube as well. So here's one thing before we go to that, the mechanical stuff too. I should tell you what you've found when you returned. So one of the things is you had received the keys, or you had found the keys on a what do you call it? in that that box that you guys found on that island off in the dark waters. Did I change it? Yeah, I did. So this is back in Crossings here. So the what you also found is when you return to your hunting lodge, parked outside is your GTO. Oh, and fuck yeah, for the listeners at home too. So last session we talked about Matt finding his black GTO again, and it's a magical card that can travel across dimensions. I shit you not, Jeff. The next morning, like Thursday morning last week, when I was driving to work, I passed a fucking black GTO.
That's awesome.
It was so funny. I was trying to get my camera out to take a picture of it because it was rush hour. I just couldn't. Yeah, but it was hysterical. Yeah. Anyway, so that you find that. You also find. 1 second here. This is something that Junis finds. Where is it? Okay. He finds waiting for him in his room. Steve, why don't you describe for me, what does Junis's room look like?
Junis's room is actually fairly tidy, except that he's got sort of a bunch of pieces of scrap metal and tools also kind of lying about that would really make no sense to a lot of other people that he sort of tinkers with himself with and fixes his attachments because he's got a bunch of those.
Does he? So he's got like a workbench in there.
Yeah, like his desk is a workbench. Exactly.
Okay, so when he returns, what you find waiting on there is this sword. This little like it's a sort of a halfway between like a rapier and a saber. And what it is the blade is made of a silvery metal that features a broad guard and a handle wrapped in white leather. And it just so happens that the sword, your scabbard that you currently have, so you have that singing scabbard that you bring with you, but you can't really fit the Jotun saber in there, right? That's in its own thing because it's jagged and brutal and whatever else.
Right.
This sword fits perfectly into that scabbard that has the Jabberwock on it.
Very nice.
Do you show? I'm going to assume at some point you show that to some of the to everyone else, I guess.
Sure, he shows it off. Yeah.
Would I need to run to the washroom very quickly here, guys? But I need Matt and Trader and Milar to make intellect checks, and you'll get a boon on them. Then if I'm not back in time too, guys, just start talking about what you, maybe you start talking about the plans for how you're going to respond to the task before you.
Alrighty. Is there intellect check?
Yeah.
Okay. Intellect check. What just happened there? I get to 13. Yeah, what's up next? Well, now we know that we're... Yeah.
I mean, my thoughts are it might potentially be worth searching for Oberon and seeing if we could derail the whole Fae Queen's plan by finding her husband, revealing that it's the Demon Lord who's been pretending to be her husband the whole time, and expose the plan and maybe stop it in its tracks there.
I like, or at least certainly take a big chunk out of it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so
there's a good chance that Diabolus or Oberon or someone has, or not Oberon, the Demon Lord or Diabolus has Oberon, but we could at least investigate it a little farther. We know where he was.
How do we get there? Just have to find that out.
Well, you were there.
In the other dimension?
No, wasn't it the very first adventure that you guys went on?
Yeah, the very first adventure. Remember, Steve, when you guys were trying to find that that priest, that's what brought your three characters together in the first place, and then you found underneath that dilapidated house you found that giant iron cube that sort of that had a giant, one of its sides opened up, and inside you had that you found that creature that was that the one that killed Hobie, actually, that thing that had the scalpel that was surgically dissecting that the priest. You found him in there.
Right. Oh, that's where Oberon was?
Apparent. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you learned last session, that whatever that cube was actually a prison or hospital or something, and that's where he was, where the fairy king had been held.
Well then.
Yeah. That's also where you actually found the scabbard too. Remember?
Right.
Okay, so we got. Whoa, Matt got fucking crazy good. Okay, so Matt, you're the one who recognizes this. You see this thing. This is actually a legendary weapon known as the Vorpal Sword. This sword, so because you rolled so well, now the taint of the void is like the void is what exists outside of all reality, and it's in that featureless or empty areas where the corruption of the demon lord and the demons lurk, and sometimes that void, it seeps through into the world, the created world, and one of the ways that sometimes manifests is by corrupting whatever it leaks into. The most significant impact on the Fey realm prior to the corruption of the Queen was the Jabberwock. Jabberwock was not traditionally, at least, a defender of the Queen or whatever else. It was a cautionary tale, a catastrophically dangerous cautionary tale of what can happen when the Fae are corrupted. So this sword was actually forged by the elves to fight against the evil embodied by the Jabberwock, the monster that lurks at the edges of the hidden kingdoms. This sword was forged from meteoric iron, so it does not count as iron for the purpose of Fae. And it is, let's see here, the rules for this weapon is each time you attack with the weapon, you have a chance of severing the target's head. If the total of your attack roll is 20 or higher and exceeds the target's defense by 5 or more, you cut the target's head from its body or slice its body in half, causing it to take damage equal to its health. However, if the total of your attack roll is 0 or lower, you instead cut off your own head and take damage equal to your health.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well,
good thing is a construct, right?
So that is the other thing that apparently the Goblin King left for you.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's talk about level 7 now, because you guys are all level 7. So at level 7 is where you pick your final path. You pick the master path that will sort of lead you through into the epic finale of the campaign. So have you guys selected master paths for each of your characters?
Yeah, I was going to confirm with Matt.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, why don't we? I have an idea. I have one picked out for Trader for sure, and a choice of between 2 for Matt.
Okay.
Sure.
So what if we just go back and forth, like starting with Steve, and just go through the level up? Because there's only like a couple things to do.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick way to do it. So, Steve, which character do you want to start with?
I'll go with the one I'm surest of, which is I'll go with, I like your suggestion for Junus of a duelist. I looked up the Executioner one, and I think the duelist is slightly better, so we'll go with that one.
Okay. So there's the duelist, and then out of Demon Lord 2, or Demon Lord's Companion 2, there's the Fencer.
Oh, sorry, Fencer. That's the one you recommended. Yes. That's the one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where is it here? Because there is one called Duelist out of the core book.
Right.
let's see here. Where is Fencer? Fencer. For those listening at home, at the time of recording too, my print copy of the Demon Lord Companion 2 showed up about 10 minutes before we went live. So I'm very glad to get to put it into play right away. Yeah, so Fencer, so you get you increase 3. Hold on, let's go with Junis first here. So 3 of your attributes are going to go up, Steve. What 3 are going to go up?
All right, I think I have an idea. I think first of all, let's get that intellect up to a reasonable number. Let's go to 10. and I think we got to get our will up to 10. I don't like those -1s very much.
Okay. So those 2 are at 10, and then what's the final one going to go towards? Strength?
I think we better go strength, yeah.
Okay, so your strength is 14. Okay, which means your health is going to go up by 1.
So does my perception also go up to 10 then too?
It does, yep. Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
That'll help.
Okay, that also because you are a fencer, your defense goes up by 1, so your defense is now a 19, which is pretty respectable.
Nice.
You get +4 to your health. So your health is now 46, which means your healing rate is now automatically calculated. Thank you, new awesome fucking sheet. Oh, check it out. You can actually track your conditions on here now too.
Yeah, I noticed that at the bottom there. Affliction.
Oh man, that's badass. Love this. Oh, I love this new sheet.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take your damage down to 0 though, because you will have healed in the interim. So that's fucking great. So let's hear. The next thing you get, Steve, you get another language or a new profession, and there's no restrictions on what profession you want to add. So do you want a new language or do you want a new profession?
New profession. Let me look up those again here. I got my core manual open.
And then what I'll do is I will add, while you're doing that, I'll quickly type up your new talent into here.
So wait, professions are things that you can use to gain boons when you take certain actions, right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Let me see here. Put the.
They don't have any other They don't have any other game mechanics, right?
No, I mean, it's basically they can grant boons in whatever circumstances. So like, if there's any role you're making where that profession may assist, then you get to add it.
Right.
So let's see here. One thing I have not used at all in this campaign has been the rules for social combat, but I will be using them going forward because I just forgot about them.
Etiquette, custom, mercenary, poacher,
Oh, Steve, sorry, I need to be on that. Sorry.
You didn't realize we were.
Oh, sorry, yeah, because unfortunately, when one of us is on it, just give me 2 seconds here and I'll be finished up. Okay, Steve, sorry, I'm finished up now.
Okay.
Holy shit. So basically, you've got +1 boon with all attacks with swift weapons, and you do 1d3 extra damage with them.
That's added to my other bonuses, so I'll be getting nice.
Boons. So I'm just going to make those adjustments for you right now. So your Jotun Saber does now has 2 boons to start with it. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And I'll add, I'll add the Vorpal Sword in here too.
Oh, I think you better go Tracker.
Tracker, interesting. So let's flesh. What I want is the story reason for how he learned that. Then,
sure. Well, he is a poacher and a rustler, so he had some. So he's been, he's noticed that it's useful to track things. So the whole time when he's been trying to figure out, as we've been going along, because we've been trying to track things, and he's been using his poacher rustler to try and track, but he's not really a tracker. But he's been working on that skill set, so that he can be a little bit more useful because there has been some call for it.
I totally buy that. So that sounds good. You can go ahead and add that on there. I'm just adding your what do you call it? Your receipts. Come on, you fucking thing. And it is 2 boons on the attack. All right. So, so I think that's it for Junus. So let's and watch it. Hold on, we gotta adjust your level. Level's now 7. Wow.
Boom.
Amazing. Okay, Jeff, who would you like to advance first?
Well, again, just like Steve, let's go with the one that I know first.
Okay.
So Trader is going to take Martial Artist.
Okay,
Nice.
let me just grab that.
Martial artists trained to master unarmed combat, fighting with their hands and feet instead of a sword or gun. Quick and strong, martial artists move with great fluidity and land strikes with a deadly precision that sends their enemies reeling. Martial artists learn their techniques from masters, fighting schools, or in the fighting pits of a city's seediest districts.
Okay, so your first you get to pick. So 3 attributes are going to go up by 1.
Okay, so let's do.
I'm going to assume that agility is one of those, right?
Yeah, agility and will.
Okay, so agility is 16 now.
And
will
health? Or what's that?
10 now. Why is that not adjusting though? Hold on.
Yeah. Health is one of the ones you can raise, right? Or what? Or how does that work? Or is it just one of the other 4?
What's going on here? Hold up.
Oh, because your health just goes up as part of it?
Yeah, health is not a separate thing. What's going on here? Hold on. The bonus for your agility is not adjusting properly. So, but I'll deal with that afterwards. So it is 16 for sure, but it's not adding the proper bonus, and your will isn't updating either. Let me try closing the character sheet and opening it up again. See if that makes a difference. Nope, still fucked up. So maybe
really,
Jeff, could you?
I see the 10.
Yeah, I see the 10. I see the 16, but it's showing me as +5 rather than +6, and it's showing me -1.
Now that I have it.
Let me try. Okay. Turn up. Nope, still fucked up. I will figure out what's going on.
That's okay. We can fix it.
Yeah, we may need to. You know what? Let's do this. I'm just going to refresh my roll 20.
So basically, I choose between intellect or strength for the last one.
Right.
Let's increase his intellect.
His intellect, okay. Which will increase his perception in turn as well. So that's good. Okay, still not working, but whatever. We'll deal with that.
So his health goes up by 5, and his speed goes up by 2.
I think I know what I've done wrong here. Weird. Oh, no, that's not working either. Huh. I thought it was because I was hitting enter, but it seems like when I... No, I don't know what's going on. So your perception is now a 13. The perception and intellect seem to be calculating properly. Agility does not. I wonder why that is. Let me see. Huh. Yeah, so those, I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, so your perception's gone up. Your will has gone up. Next thing you get is your health is increased by 5. So your health is now at 35. Pretty badass. Your healing rate has been adjusted appropriately. Your speed goes up by 2 as well. Not bad.
Should be a 0.
Speed is now at 12. Hey, you know what? It just updated.
Well, I just edited it.
It takes time.
Page.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it just takes time to load up. So great. Yeah, the will and the agility bonuses are appropriate now.
Okay.
So, okay, so then you get +2 bonus while you're not wearing armor to your defense. I think that your defense is. Hold on, I'm just gonna see what your bonuses from your mystic are. When you're not wearing armor or wearing a shield, you have a bonus to defense equal to 1 plus your power. Your power's a 2, so you got 3. I think your starting defense is equal to your agility. So you should have a 16, 17, 18, 19. 21, sorry, 19, 20, 21. Do you know, do you have claw, or what is it, tooth and claw? Easily accessible. That's the thing on werewolves or lycanthropes. If not, I've got. Oh, actually, no, I've got it right. I'm just gonna see if you get any bonus.
It's on this tab, isn't it?
I think so. Hold on here. It is, yeah.
Mine doesn't. My sheet's not even updating at all now.
Oh. Okay.
Like I click on those tabs and it moves it on your screen, but I don't even see it moving on my screen.
Oh, weird.
Trippy.
So yeah, okay. So then, no, you do get +2 to bonus when you shape change. So because of your expert skin changer ability. So that means, Jesus, when you are in, without any other bonuses, when you are in like your Weir Raven form, you have a defensive 23.
Yeah, see, that's what this little thing over here was for. I'll have to fix that.
Okay.
Like in the equipment section where I had typed the speed change.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so your defense is now 23.
I'll just delete that because I'll have to refigure that out.
Well, I just updated it.
Oh.
So that's done. Let's see here. So Fists of Fury, your unarmed strikes deal an extra 1d6 damage.
If I accidentally deleted it. I'll fix it.
All right, so that means your natural weapons now do 2d6 damage. And when you have Beast Within active, it does 3d6 damage. Bananas. So like when you have that spell active, your claws do as much as a greatsword.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you gain 1 martial arts talent. What talent would you like?
I think that the one that makes most sense for him and the way I've been playing him is called Flying Kick.
Flying Kick, okay.
I like it.
Why don't you tell us what, I'll type that up right now, but why don't you tell us what that does?
It says, you can use an action to choose one creature or object within a number of yards of you equal to your speed, which his speed is incredibly high, so that works good. You move up to your speed toward the target, ignoring difficult terrain. When the target is within your reach, you make an attack roll with an unarmed strike against it, dealing 1d6 extra damage on a success.
That is really badass.
So it's basically lets you move your full speed and attack and get an extra d6 all with one move.
That is great. Okay, so that's all typed up.
And that's it for...
That's badass. Okay. So shit, that means when you have that Beast Claw, whatever, active, you're going to be able to do... Oh, and you've got Dirty Tricks as well.
Yeah.
So effectively, Jesus Christ, you're doing like 5d6 damage, and you can pump out more when you unload your key focus.
Yeah, if I spend a key, I can do up to 66 in a single attack.
Okay, right. And your key focus also gives you more defense.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, Monk, is it fair to say Monk is your favorite class in D&D?
I would say so.
Yeah.
So,
how does the Mystic? Because you and I have played a Monk in D&D in third edition. I don't know if we've played Monk in Pathfinder, but I think you may have.
Yeah,
We
I
played
have.
it. We played it in 13th Age. We played it in 5th edition. How does this compare?
This actually feels very similar.
Yeah.
But
You
this
may
is
not
now feels like a high level monk, which I've never actually played a very high level monk.
badass. You know, it's interesting that Rob Schwab, the designer of the game, he worked on 4th edition and 5th edition. A lot of the things that I love about the later sort of revisions to 4th edition D&D, they're all times when he was one of the key people working on it. And when he left the 5th edition design team, like when they were finished with that, he created this game as sort of like his ideal version of the game. And not of that game, but of like his ideal version of a fantasy role-playing game.
Right.
So it's very cool to see how many of these are like streamlined or I think more simplified ways or effective ways of simulating the same things that you do, that the D&D rules achieve.
Yeah. I think Trader is, with these changes, is a very dangerous character.
Fuck yeah.
He has high defense, he has that regenerate ability, and he's got now huge DPS as well. Like, he's quite a threat in combat.
Yeah. That's awesome. I don't feel bad for
DPSers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Steve, we're back to you. What character would you like to do next?
Okay, so the things I've got lined up here for Hobie and Milar include a diviner for Milar,
okay, so let's start with Milar. We're just going to pick one.
I just want to sort of go over some choices. That's all, just so I can line them up a little bit. Although I think Milar is going to go with diviner, but Hobie could either be a healer or he could be an illusionist. We've got like which are sort of two of his stronger choices. What do you think? Do we need a healer or not? Do you think we've got enough between our healing spells and our
who had Hobie is the does Hobie even have any healing spells?
No, I mean he just got his no. He's got his revenant ability. Oh, no, sorry, his priest ability, which is he can once per day or twice per day he can heal him. Like you can get a healing surge.
Which that all the classes have that.
Right.
Yeah, so they've all do that. So I'm not saying that to deter you from that. I'm just to point out that it doesn't seem like you guys really have anyone who can do any healing stuff right now.
Sure. Yeah, he can go healer, and then that would be then that would be done. And then because do we have enough stuff? Like we've got certainly DPS. We got two characters who are kind of full DPS mode, and also tanks. And we've got Milar's got a big bag of tricks. She was going to go diviner, which won't give her a lot more tricks, but it'll kind of give her tricks. At level 10, she can roll 3 dice in a day, after each long rest, and then she can apply those scores essentially anywhere. So she can keep 3 dice stored up, whether it's a 3, a 10, or a 20, and she can to anyone she can see making a roll.
Yeah,
she can apply one of those to that roll, which is pretty cool ability. But there's one thing I was going to ask you about her, which is that if she plays diviner, then she can expend 1 divination spell to add 1 boon to whatever she's doing. Now, when we're using spell points, how do we deal with that? Can she use it? Can she expend 1 spell point to get a boon?
No, what it would be, the number of boons you get are equal to the rank of the spell you get. And remember, so if you're spending, so it would be the rank of the spell will be restricted by your power, which will be your power will now be a 4.
Right.
And the what do you call it? So that means a rank 4 spell would cost you 5 mana. So it would cost, if you want to do that, to get 4 boons to a roll would cost you 5 mana. Basically,
and to get 1 would cost you 2.
Exactly. Like the number of boons you're gonna get, it's that plus 1 is what the mana cost is.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's really badass.
Yeah, it is. I think I like those. So let's go. If that's okay with you, Matt, does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that.
We got enough other stuff going on. Okay. Then let's do that. Let's go Hobie the healer.
Okay, actually, sorry. You know what, Steve? It's actually cheaper. I'm reading the rules out of Forbidden Rules. So for diviner, it's you spend for every power point you spend. So every mana point you spend, you get 1 boon up to the maximum of your power score.
Boom. Deadly.
So that's pretty badass.
Yeah. And level 10, she's really deadly. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. That's awesome because like that's a very both of those are different paths than what I sort of had assumed that you were going with those. So I love that.
Okay, good.
Okay, so let's do Milar then first. So I'll pop her open here. So she's level 7 now. Can't believe we fucking played 8 levels with these characters. That's so cool.
Pretty epic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Diviner, what 3 attributes are going to raise?
Okay, she is going to raise her. She's going to stick with her strength. She's going to go 1 more intellect.
Okay.
She'll go 1 more will.
1 more will.
And okay. one more agility.
Okay, and 1 more agility. Nice. Oopsies. 1 more, which means your defense, I believe, is a 12. Okay.
Sweet.
Great. You also get +3 to your health. So your health is now 24. Whopping 24.
Sweet.
Let's get rid of your damage as well because you're not you're gonna have had time to heal. You get you get to pick another language or add another profession. So why don't you take your current professions are Fisher, navigation, and Scholar Occult.
Right. And
so let me. I'm just gonna flop over your talents and start adding in that.
Let's go folk. What about folklore?
No, Scholar Folklore, sure.
Yeah,
that's really cool. So let's go back here. Scholar Folklore. Badass.
She's patient. She knows stuff.
Heck yeah. Okay, so let's see here. So you're. Oh, so you also gain you discover the divination tradition, which you already know. So you get to basically learn a new divination spell. So up to a rank. Oh, hold on. I fucked up here. Your defense also goes up by 1.
Right.
So let's see here. Your defense is now a 13. So that's more respectable. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at diplomat, not diviner. So your health actually by 1. So you're at 22 health right now.
She's fragile.
Easy up. But that also means your power goes up by 1. So that's really cool. I'm going to have to recalculate your mana, but I'll do that between now and next session.
Sure.
So you get to pick a divination spell up to rank 4, and I'll add in your Omen's ability as your list of abilities.
Vision.
Vision. Why don't you tell us what that one does?
That one. Hold on here. I'll read it off to you. Where's the spells? Here we go. Conjuration. Divination. Vision. 1 hour is how long the effect lasts. It's a utility 4. For the duration, I enjoy the following benefits. I can see into areas obscured by shadows and darkness as if they were lit. I can see through anything that conceals, disguises, or renders things invisible. I can see auras around objects under the effects of magic, and I automatically recognize anything created by an illusion spell for what it is. I can see creatures that are under the effects of transformation spells as they truly are. And I can use an action to focus my sight to see through solid obstacles. As long as I concentrate, I can see through a yard of wood, a foot of stone, or an inch of metal.
Wow, that's super cool. You know, your use of divination spells in this campaign has been really, it's opened my eyes for how utility spells can help drive story too.
Totally, yeah. Thanks.
Her use of the piscomancy, when she's been reading the fish entrails, throw things has been great. So Steve, I'm going to leave it to you to type up to transcribe from the rule book into the spells.
Sure.
So just go ahead and do that, and then we will turn to add one. You just click at the bottom there.
Okay.
Actually, I'll add the spell name, and you just need to add in all the rest of the crap. So vision, there we go. Or it's visions, plural, right?
Visions, you're right.
Yeah. So go ahead and add that in, and then while you're doing that, let's turn to Matthew. So what is Matt taking as his master path?
This one's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
So there's sort of three options. There's the Jack of all trades, which seems pretty cool.
Okay. What does that one do?
So, basically, to me, I mean, one of the reasons to choose it is it kind of mimics the Doctor Who flavor of the character.
Yep.
Jacks of all trades know a little about everything, but not a lot about any one thing. A path attractive to tricksters and adventurers.
Cool, good pick.
Its talents help them find solutions to almost any problem and find a way to succeed when they would fail. So
yeah, that's totally a Doctor Who kind of vibe.
So the three things you get are aptitude. You have a number of aptitude points equal to your group's level. When you make an attack roll or a challenge roll, you can spend 1 point from this talent to make a roll with 2 boons. Whenever you roll 2 6s on one roll of boon dice, you gain 1 aptitude point up to your maximum, and you replenish them when you complete a rest. So you can basically use these points freely to give yourself a whole bunch of boons.
Yeah.
You have a flexible profession. When you perform a task related to a profession you do not have, you can make an intellect challenge roll. On a success, you are considered to have the profession for 1 minute. On a failure, you can't use this talent again until you have a rest.
That is super cool.
So with his intellect, he could just keep making intellect checks and gaining new professions to use them.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one, which is interesting, is magical empathy. When you see a creature cast, or epiphany, when you see a creature cast a rank 0 spell that you have not learned, you can spend 1 aptitude point to learn that spell, gaining a number of castings of the spell equal to your power. Sweet. You retain knowledge of the spell until you complete a rest or expend the last casting of it. So if Hobie is a healer now, Matt can see him cast that spell and then also be a healer for whatever it is, his power level, which is 3. So he could cast 3 healings as well.
One thing I'll point out too is that because you guys, Matt won't gain a new spell here, but for the other 2 guys, assuming they're gaining new spells, they will be able to also swap out 1 spell. It's got to be swapped for one of an equivalent level, but you can swap out a spell. So like if there's a rank 2 spell that, say, Milar wants to swap out or that Hobie wants to swap out, he could do that. Or they could do that.
Yeah. Now, the second option is I could take the sharpshooter master path.
Yep.
It would diverge him a little bit from sort of the Doctor Who theme of the character, but it would kind of give him his own flavor a little bit. And he's had the revolver the whole time, and every time he's engaged in combat, it's the method that he's tried to use to be a part of combat, and he's found himself to not be a very good shooter.
Right.
So I could easily say that it's something he's worked on in his spare time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So sharpshooters master the use of bows and crossbows, but in this case it would be his revolver.
Yep.
Their keen eyes and steady hands let them loose missile after missile with pinpoint accuracy. If they take even more time to line up their shots, they can thread their missiles through the narrowest gaps. Sharpshooters have few rivals when it comes to fighting with their favored weapon. So what this does is deadly aim. You can use an action to aim at a creature you can see within medium range. Make a perception attack roll against the target's agility, which Matt has really good perception. On a success, you spot an opening. For 1 round, when you attack the target with a ranged weapon, you make the attack roll with 3 boons, and your attack deals 3d6 extra damage.
Wow. That's
massive.
You know, mechanically
yeah, like from
too.
a metagaming standpoint, it turns Matt from kind of a combat nobody into a part of the fight, which might be interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
The last part of this storyline.
Well, and that's something that like Matt has some really terrific either non-combat or like buffing, debuffing type things, type spells.
Yeah.
Right. That would be, yeah, and that would. I mean, the revolver has also been a pretty signature part of the character since he was first introduced too. That really hasn't had a chance to shine.
That's true. Like he's used it a lot, but he tends to miss.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be a big dramatic thing, and he'll pull it out, and then he'll shoot, and he's off target, right? Just 'cause
Yeah.
I keep forgetting to use Hobie's blessing, Revenant's blessing. He can always shoot people a boon when we're in combat. I forgot about that.
Well, we've been away from the game for a couple months, so
yeah.
And then the third option is to just stick with magic and take another magic class to gain more power and more spells and all that.
Right.
This is just it's a bit of a non sequitur here, but it's interesting hearing the choices you guys are making in terms of your master paths as well. Like Trader is going along like the expected route, right? Like he's went from rogue to being a fairly focused unarmed dude with his mystic thing to being even better at that with his martial artist, but almost all the other characters are going, and I guess Junis is doing that same sort of more focused route, but most of the other characters seem to be going that more not oddball, but like diversifying route. And that's how a lot of the guys from our campaign, like the character I played was a Jotun ranger who went into Scald afterwards. Because I wanted to be like, I wanted that inspirational sort of storytelling kind of aspect of it. And there was a lot of people in our group who did that same thing. So it's very cool how the game, there's not bad choices in terms of, or there's not like suboptimal choices in terms of your selections of master paths, expert paths, or whatever.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I really enjoy the diversification. You can really make a unique fingerprint for your characters.
Totally.
Yeah, I could totally see either of those two options that I just said working out really well for Matt.
Just as a reminder, too, guys, you can choose an expert path as your master path as well.
Okay. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and the way that works is basically you get your, as a level 7 ability, you get the level 3 ability. As a level 10 ability, you get the level 6 ability, I think. And then as a level 9 ability, you pick which of the 2 expert paths you want to take.
Right. Okay.
I'm not sure there necessarily is an option you want to pick there, but
so I'll just make a couple comments. Yeah.
Yep.
So Milar is the next thing she's going to get, which she's really looking forward to, is her powered suit. So her next on the next level, her spell is going to be like she was going to take engineer, but she realized it was probably pointless because she can get a bunch of things. Like she can animate creatures as it is, or animate inanimate objects. She can also take her. She's going to get her powered suit, which is going to make her a very formidable fighting force in the group. And Hobie has now got the healing, which is pretty cool. I was looking at the Jack of all trades. I thought it might be kind of useful to have another bag of tricks character for the abilities. So I think that's kind of a cool one. But whichever way you go, I think we're kind of probably pretty covered. And Milar's got a few tricks in terms of spells. She can shape earth and stone. She's got some buffs and debuffs, and Hobie has both a buff and a debuff as well. So just add that to your formulations.
Yeah, it's a really tough choice. I think that they're very different choices. One is a little more role playing to it, and the other one is like totally min-maxing the character a little bit.
Right.
In defense of the min-maxing one, I'm not inclined one way or the other. I think they're both really, really great choices. You've been trying to make the whole gunslinger thing work. It's been a cool, evocative part of the character. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with making a mechanical choice that supports the story thing you've been role playing the entire time you've been playing Matt.
Right, and I actually think I am going to go sharpshooter. That kind of talks me into it, and so does thinking about the character of Matt and the story arc of his life, and sort of his showdown as he sees approaching with Diabolus. he wouldn't want to rely on Trader and Junus and these other characters to be able to kill Diabolus if necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
He would want to be able to take in his own hands and kill Diabolus if that's what happens. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. And we have lots
so
of
I
professions.
think Shooter makes sense. Yeah, like I think I'm gonna go with that.
That's awesome. Okay. So if Matt is going sharpshooter, then that's so badass too. And you know what? I think that also helps distinguish the character from being just a Doctor Who clone.
Right, like a weird Doctor Who variant. It really gives him his own flavor.
Totally. Okay, so let's see here. Your well, I guess, and one other thing too, guys, because the thought is because we've got rules to play these characters beyond 10th level, thanks to forbidden rules. Just because your characters up to level 10 are going to cap out certain power, the level of your power or the level of whatever, which restricts the level of spell you can learn. To make beyond level 10, you can spend those to raise power. You can spend those to learn new spells. So they're much more versatile than what the regimented ones are. So you're not forestalling the option, or you're not like making it so you can never choose to advance your spell knowledge or whatever if you're just because you didn't pick a spell casting master path.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's hear. So then for sharpshooter, you get to pick 3 attributes that are each going to go up by 1. So I guess which one is not going up?
Let me look at the right character.
Actually, hold on. There's also remember perception can be raised separately too.
Well, you gain +1 perception as a sharpshooter. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you do. So never mind. So
I'm thinking that his strength has not gone up. Even though it's a penalty, I don't think I'm going to 10 that one. I'm going to do agility, will, and intellect.
Okay, so that's.
I feel like he's got some insanity, right? 5 insanity.
He does. Yeah, he's got 5 insanity already.
That, like strengthening his will against these demons seems like a good idea.
For sure. His health is now at 31. Respectively, which means your healing rate goes up. You learn another language or a profession. And then while you're selecting that, I will add in his deadly aim talent.
Sure. Well, I'll just talk about it real quick. I'd like to add, I think, the profession of detective. I would argue
super cool.
Since he's arrived here in this world, that's all he's really done.
Yeah, that's very true. Also, you realize that
sharpshooting detective.
Somewhere at home, Brent just got half hard hearing about your magic detective character with a magical 6-shooter. Now that more and more of you guys have actual physical copies of it, more likely I can have guest stars come in on the game.
Totally.
Nice. How are the viewings?
Well, we're up to, as of the time of recording, we now have 136 subscribers.
Nice.
So yeah, it's good. I mean, and of course we're not seeing a lot of interaction on the Shadow of the Demon Lord games, but like our Conan games have like 400 or more views on some of them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It's a very popular game. I think it's also at the time there were less people running Conan on in actual plays.
Right.
Or there are a handful of. Actually, I really don't know. Like maybe the Conan community is a bigger community than what Shadow of the Demon Lord is.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
I would definitely recommend this game to people, though.
Oh man, yeah, like it's one of my the reason I got it for the other guys for I got you and Steve. I got copies of the book because we're playing this game, but I got them for Corey and for Brent as birthday presents because I just love this game, and I think that they might really enjoy it as well too. I
find it one of the best character spreads. Like you said, how it's kind of surprising the directions they go.
Oh yeah.
it really sets up for that. Like D&D leads to more characters like Trader, whereas this game leads to characters like Hobie and Milar and Matt, who are kind of these mishmash of different character archetypes.
Well, they're uniquely their own too, right? Like my character Vigdis was like that. Like we used to joke in our campaign that my guy was like the dark version of Tom Bombadil, because I was a yeoman, so I was this giant who was inclined towards the woods, but also had this like singing sort of like inspiring presence kind of thing to him. Yeah, it's a really fucking. I sat earlier, or not earlier this week, but on the weekend when I can't remember what new book came up, but there's something that got me, to bang out a couple of new characters, and like I made a third level group of dwarves just to see what the characters would look like, and use the random generation for the background and the professions and stuff like that. And I came up with 4 really fucking interesting characters with good baked in backstories and whatever. And really different characters. Like I find that when you're thinking about the combos you can come up with in the game, you end up with really interesting, unique character ideas too. I used there's a new expert path called Knight out of this supplement called Paths of Battle, and I used a dwarf. Basically, I was picturing a dwarf riding like a riding ram, like a goat.
Nice.
And they get a bonus on the way that the knights work is that their sort of signature ability is they get a bonus of 2 boons. I can't remember if it's either 2 boons on the attack or 2d6 extra damage on charges. So I sort of picture this knight sort of like galloping around the battlefield on the back of this giant war goat and hacking down at people with her battle axe. And the professions also fill in, like they fill in interesting ideas. Because I think like for that one I rolled random things where like there was, I think basically what the story was, or what the story sort of came to be, was that she had been living this really like I rolled like a criminal background and or a criminal profession, and I think a commoner profession, and then but I also rolled her as being very honorable, and the backstory event was like someone important died. So putting that all together, it was like someone who was sort of like lost soul, was a criminal, whatever else. And then there was this sort of crisis moment where someone important to her died, and that caused her to rethink her life and dedicate herself towards honor. And all that came from just rolling random, backstory bullshit. So that's how we came up with these.
It's a great game for rolling backstories.
Totally. Okay, so last but certainly not least, we've got Hobie. What's Hobie taking as his master?
Hobie the healer.
Healer, okay. So let's see here. Healer. So let's see. You get 3 of your attributes are going up. So which is not going up?
I believe it is agility that is not going up.
Okay, that's pretty cool. 13, a lemon, and 30.
Lemon. Okay. Does perception not also go up with intellect, or does it stay the same?
It does, yeah. It doesn't auto go up, but it does go up.
Yeah, just checking.
Okay. No, thanks for catching that. So your health goes up by 4, which means your healing rate's going to go up as well. That's pretty good.
Excellent.
Oh, your strength went up by 1 as well, so it means your health will also go up by 1.
Nice.
You're 42. Your power goes up by 1, so look at your badass power of 4.
Oh, yeah.
The good thing with that too is when your power goes up, the amount of mana you get from your spells go for each of your individual spells. Because the way you calculate your mana is basically you look at how many spells you've got at different levels, and you get a certain amount of mana from each of those.
Okay.
So, you either discover the life tradition or you learn 1 life spell.
I discover the life tradition, so yeah, I don't have it.
Okay. So you discover the life tradition. That means you automatically get 1 level 0 life spell as well.
That basic healing, I believe, is the spell. He's also, if possible, I was going to replace 1 spell. I was going to replace Fade with Fountain of Life.
Cool. Let's see here. Life. So you're getting minor healing as your new spell. Whoopsies, wrong thing. Oh, we lost Jeff. Jeff still. Oh, Jeff, you're still there on Google Plus, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I lost you on Roll20.
Oh, I just tried to open the PDF for the Demon Lord Companion.
Oh, okay.
And I wonder if it's... My internet is so terrible.
All right, and then Steve, I just put in minor healing as your level 0 or rank 0 spell, and then your fade you're getting rid of. Okay, where is that? Fade. Ooh, and sorry, fade is a rank 1, and you're replacing that with Fount of Life.
Fount of Life. So just FYI, Jeff, Fount of Life. This is a 1-minute spell that lasts, and so it's a good time to use your healing surge, because whenever you use it, you heal an extra damage equal to my power.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, Steve, I'll let you fill in the info.
If you want to do a party heal, then it's a good time to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That.
Okay,
Yeah, that actually would count for effectively all your second wind abilities too.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
So that's pretty great. So anyway, I've got your. I'll let you fill in the particulars of the spells in a moment there, Steve. But I think there's one other ability you get from that. Far healing. Whenever you cast a life spell that targets a creature you can reach, you can instead. Oh, that's awesome! Within short range. That is really good.
So yeah, my healing spell can be cast away.
Yeah, that's really, because that is one pain in the ass with it.
Yeah,
I can tell you, a healer in this game is extremely useful. I was the resident meat shield in our game, and a higher level healer is crazy fucking useful. The healer in our game was a witch.
Yeah.
And she used to, and I think she went into healer as her master path as well. But she used to, I would go down 3/4 of my health in one round because a lich was tearing me apart or something like that. And she'd buff me back up to effectively full health.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, especially when he gets to level 10, he'll be much more useful. Man. Because he gets an extra D6 on everything that he does. So.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be very good.
Okay, so I believe everyone has been leveled up then. So that is awesome. Okay, so before we're not going to have time to go through the what do you call it? The downtime. We'll do that at the start of next session. But just so I can plan, guys, what do you think in terms of what your approach is going to be? What do you want to sort of chase down? I heard you guys talking about it when I came back from the washroom, but I didn't hear any.
I think to be specific, I think what we'd like to try and do is track down Oberon. Or at least see if the trail's completely dead or if there's a chance of finding him, because recovering him and showing the Fae Queen that she's being duped would just be huge.
Yeah, agreed.
So sorry, what was that?
Oh,
tracking down.
Tracking down
Oberon.
Okay, yeah, no, so you didn't catch out. I got distracted. I was reading a fucking email because I'm a dummy. Tracking Oberon, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, we'd like to just see if the trail's dead or if there's any hope of finding him.
Sure.
Because it might be able to turn this whole plot on its head if we could. It's the whole reason that the Fae Queen is basically involved in this plot, is the loss of her husband. So
what sort of methods do you think you're going to use to try and track that to track his movements down? And you're going to have we're going to be skipping ahead several months between this session and that will reflect your training and whatever else, and also give you some time to do some legwork on this. Right.
Well, so how dangerous is it to reinvestigate this place where he was captured?
At the power level you guys are at now, probably quite easy. The difficulty before was that it was in what is it called? I think not coins. Grievings, the neighborhood. You can see on the sort of in the east side of town there, near smokestacks. It's the slum. And for the 0 level characters, I mean, that was a bit of a challenge. But where you guys are now, it's unlikely that if ever anyone did give you any problems, you guys would be pretty capable of handling it. As for, oh, you know what? Actually, because I don't think you guys know what's happened to that thing since, because none of you guys have gone back there since. You rescued the priest, so maybe that's what we'll pick up with next round or next session is for you guys investigating that, so we can role play through sort of what's happened there.
Right.
I can think of one character that you guys know quite well who would have been very interested in that. Can you think?
Yes.
Right. Because Inquisitor Randolphus that's exactly the kind of shit that he wants to keep his finger on the pulse of.
Right.
Of course.
So, cool. And then so you start with there. Is there any other sort of like more? You know what? Just maybe what we'll do is we'll just think about it between now and the next session, and then we'll do some downtime stuff, and then we'll launch into the investigation of that iron cube. And then we can sort of see where the session goes from there. But
right, sure.
Yeah.
And at least you know what our starting direction is.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a huge help. So, man, that's exciting. I'm excited that we're at the master stage of the game now too. So
absolutely, get badass down.
Yeah. Oh heck yeah, you guys are going to be very, very deadly. So cool. All right. So for those listening at home, we're going to be that will be where we will call it a session. Thanks so much for joining us for session 23 of the. I've had it named on our Roll20 game since the beginning as Fey Shadows, but I'm not sure I ever actually referred to it as that out loud. So we've been calling our campaign Fey Shadows. Yeah, so we'll see you, I guess, next time for episode 24 of Fey Shadows. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding our session, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, and we will endeavor to respond at the earliest opportunity. If not, then thanks again for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you again soon.